Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nate and today I have a book haul for you. Yesterday I went to 66Books. 66Books is a big old warehouse in the UK. Actually, it's in the town that I was born in, and I grew up in the town next to it, so I used to go all the time. Then it blew up on TikTok, and so it became a lot busier to go to, so it's been like 2-ish years since I've been. But yeah, I went there. It's this big warehouse that opens its doors to the public a couple of weekends a month. Outside of that, the public isn't, you can't go as a part of the public, but like on those weekends, you can go and get books for 70% off the retail price, which is a fantastic deal. So yeah, I haven't been in a couple of years, so whenever I go, I always stock up on stuff. I have a big old box here that I'm gonna haul for you today. Let me show you. Like, a big old box. Whenever I go, because I don't go as often anymore, as like I used to go every other month sometimes, I get a decent amount. And one thing I like is at like checkout, they kind of tell you what it would have been and then what it is. So this is a box worth of like £360 worth of stuff at retail value that I got for £110. I think it was like £112. So a really good deal. I went in at the beginning of April. This video is probably not going to go up until May-ish. I'm probably not going to go back to 66Books this year. I might, if anything, it would be nearer December time, maybe for like Christmas presents and stuff. So this is like a little special haul that I did. Great fun. We're in there for like 2 hours and 40 minutes going through like all the shelves. You never know what's there, so it's always good to have like a rummage. They don't always have like huge amounts of fantasy, but I did get some fantasy that I'm actually quite interested in. And again, because sometimes people that go will maybe buy ones and twos, you don't always get the first books in a series, which is a shame sometimes, but I did buy some later on books that I know I should just be able to find the first books for later on. Without further ado, let's jump into the haul. So I'm going to start with two things that I bought that are not book related. The first one is a puzzle, because they do have puzzles there. And I picked up this Monopoly puzzle. It's just a classic English Monopoly board. I know it's different for different countries. And yeah, I love Monopoly and I like doing puzzles, but I don't love spending like full price on puzzles because they're quite expensive, and I like will do them once and then take them to a charity shop, so I usually get them secondhand. So I tend to go, I know they have a little puzzle selection, so I always have a good look and yeah, pick one up. So I got the Monopoly puzzle, and then I also just got this green notebook. It's A4 and it is just lined. Getting into the books. Now, I only bought one book that I have actually already read, but I wanted this edition of it, and that is a classic, and that is Persuasion by Jane Austen. This is in the Cranford collection, and they did have a bunch of different classics in this kind of style, so whenever I go back, if they still have those, I might get more, but I wanted to get this one. This is my favorite of Jane Austen's books that I've read. I've only not read Lady Susan by her, so yeah, I really wanted it in a nice edition. I have them, they're up there somewhere, but they're in just like a battered older edition that were like my sister's from years ago, so yeah, I thought this was a lovely edition. Also, it's like decent sized writing inside. I find with a classic sometimes the writing is always so small, so I really like that. It's like a generic UK hardback size, so the writing is nice and spaced out on the page. And yeah, this is just quite a simplistic hardcover, no dust jacket or anything. And yeah, I thought it was very pretty. So I got that. And then I did pick up one other classic in that style, but it was one that I haven't read, and that is The Secret Garden. This is by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And again, it's this nice pink color with these lovely flower details. And this is a book that I've not read, but I have allegedly watched the movies. Apparently we watched them a lot as a kid. Do not remember them at all. I know there is like a redone movie with Colin Firth and Julie Walters that I would be interested in watching, so I might do that after I've read this. But yeah, I know that this is a like childhood favorite for a lot of people. I think it's one of my nan's childhood favorites, so I really did want to give it a read as an adult. So sticking with hardcovers then, some of these books are books that I have heard of the authors or I've heard of the books, so I grabbed them. But then there are also some that I'm drawn to by the cover or the title, and I like read a little bit while I'm there and then put it in the basket. So this is one of them, and that is Curdle Creek. This is by Yvonne Battle Felton, and after getting this and putting it in Goodreads, it has very bad reviews. But the premise sounds interesting. It's basically about this small town where our main character lives. She is a 45-year-old widow, and this small rural town that is a all-black community, and they have this like very specific rule of 1 in, 1 out. So I'm guessing when someone has a baby, someone has to leave, and I think she is chosen. And yeah, it's kind of about the fallout of that. Like I said, the reviews are not very good on Goodreads, but I'm gonna go in regardless. It's a pretty short book, and yeah, it sounded interesting, so I picked that up. Then I grabbed Geneva. This is by Richard Armitage, and I saw this book at my work a couple of weeks ago, well, a couple of months ago when it first came out, and I was interested in it because Richard Armitage is an actor, and I know him obviously from The Hobbit, but he's been in other stuff since, and so I was interested in this because it was by him, not really anything else. But this is about, I think it's a mystery thriller about a neuroscientist, but she begins to show the first signs of Alzheimer's, and it ends up being like she's not sure who she can trust, including herself. I guess it's going to have quite a lot of the unreliable narrator like theme going on in here. But yeah, I kind of picked it up because for the author as opposed to anything else. I don't know if it's good, so we'll see what it's like. The last hardback I picked up, I didn't actually realize when I picked it up it was the second one in the series, but that's fine, and that is Chain of Iron. This is the Last Hours book 2 by Cassandra Clare, which I think this is the final trilogy that she has released of the Shadowhunter series, so I thought I potentially would be able to get them in the hardcovers more likely, which I picked this up after I picked up another book, which will make sense in a minute. That it seems weird that I picked this up. So if I end up not being able to, I will potentially just sell this one and like buy the rest in paperback. But yeah, I'm reading through the Shadowhunter series quite slowly, but I'm making my way through them, so I thought I'd pick this one up and add it to the collection. And then I did get 2 quite large paperbacks, but first of all, I will add, going on from that last book, I picked up Ghosts in the Shadow Market in paperback. Last time I was at 66 Books, I picked up this book in hardback, and then I saw it in paperback, and I was like, I'm gonna get the paperback because all of my Cassandra Clare books are in paperback, so it makes sense to have them in paperback. And then I picked up the hardback of that one. So that doesn't make sense, but yeah, this is gonna replace my hardback of this. This is a short story, I think it's a short story collection by Cassandra Clare and other authors about the Shadowhunter series. I'm just going to read this after I've read everything else so it doesn't spoil anything. But yeah, doesn't make sense my reasoning for picking Chain of Iron up after this, but I got this as well. So they had 2 like big paperbacks, which we don't usually sell over here outside of airports. And I really like a big paperback as well as like a hardback, so I grabbed them. So first we have Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. This, I believe, was a Fairy Loot maybe, or an Illumicrate book this year, and so that's kind of why I picked it up. It's, I think, a YA. It's about a villainous heroine who finds herself plunged into a seductive world of power, politics, and murder in the court of the Vampire King in this bloodthirsty debut from an unmissable new voice in fantasy romance. I don't know much about it, but yeah, I realised that it was a big paperback was basically the reason that I bought this book. As well as the next one, which is huge, and it is Night Angel Nemesis by Brent Weeks. And like, this is a thick, chunky book. It's like nearly, it's over 800 pages. It has a blurb by Robin Hobb, which may be why I grabbed it, although I've never read anything by Robin Hobb, but I know loads of people like her as a fantasy author. Now that I've just read about this says it's a brand new adventure for Master Assassin, but it also says that the author makes his return to this phenomenal series. So this might be a sequel series. So I potentially have to do some research into that if I need to read anything else before this, or if I can just go into this series, because I think this is book 1, but maybe in a sequel series. I'm not sure. So we'll see. But yeah, again, I picked it up because it was a giant paperback. And it did sound interesting. Maybe this is a sequel series. This is dangerous as well. Like the Wi-Fi in 66 Books isn't always the best. So I don't really look things up. I just kind of grab. Maybe I'll regret it, but it's fine. They're only cheap. If you've read this series, please let me know if I need to read anything before reading this. So then going on to all the paperbacks that I bought, there are 19 regular paperbacks in total, and I've kind of separated them into genre or type, so I'm just gonna kind of pull them out by that. First up, we have An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. When I grabbed this, I just grabbed it because it was from Hank Green. I've heard some people say really good things about it. Didn't realise it was a fiction book. I thought it was a non-fiction book by him. I don't know if it would fall under sci-fi maybe. It's basically about a young girl who stumbles across a giant sculpture that she names Carl, and like there's like aliens, and the aliens that have come down and she's vlogging it, I think. Yeah, no idea, but I've heard good things about it, and I like Hank Green as a person, so I thought I would read the book since it was there. And obviously it would have been like £3. And then I picked up Silver's Sparrow. This actually was one of my friends. I was there with a friend as well, and she said she really enjoyed this book. So it was kind of literally on that, her recommendation. I don't know what it's about. It is the soulful story of friendship and sisterhood, paints an unforgettable picture of the messy knots that binds family together from a prize-winning author. So I think it's about their 2 sisters that basically find out their dad has a double life. So I don't know if they're from different women or they're from the same woman. I have no idea, but it was based on a friend's recommendation, so I picked that up. And then lastly, for kind of, I guess, contemporary, not fantasy, basically, is The Queen's Gambit. Obviously, this is a very popular Netflix series, which I've never watched, but I thought I'd pick up the book while I was there. It's actually really tiny, and I don't think it's a series. I think this might just be a solo book. The writing in this is small, actually. Look at that. That's pretty small, which I don't mind small writing. It's just harder for I'd rather just have more pages than small writing. So this is about chess. That's what I know. I've never watched the TV series, but I know it was very well popular, so I thought I'd give this a read. Then I picked up 3 romance books, all by authors I've heard of, but none of them I've actually read. The first up is the Happily Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. I've heard lots of good things about her as an author. I've never read any of her books, and I do really want to get into them. I think this is the second in a standalone, one-shot series, but I might just read this one since, nothing's really going to be spoiled. I'm assuming characters end up together. This was the only one of her books I did see there, and I'm interested in reading Abby Jimenez, so I thought I would pick it up while I was there. The same goes for The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. I have actually just recently bought another book by her, but I've still never read anything by her. But yeah, so I just picked this up because I saw it there. This, I think, is about our main character, Emma, has big dreams, and she ends up, I think, being able to rewrite a screenplay, but she's working with this famous guy who doesn't believe in love, and I think it's supposed to be a screenplay about love. She needs to make him understand true love. But I would pick it up and give it a go. And then lastly is kind of a Christmas romance, and that is Make the Season Bright. This is by Ashley Heron Blake, who again I've heard of, but I have never read from. I don't know anything about it other than I thought, oh, it's Christmassy and sapphic, and so why not pick it up? It sounds quite, quite cute. I think it's about maybe a second chance. but I'm not sure, and I'm probably not going to read anything about it until I hopefully get to it this Christmas time. And then my one book that I think is a thriller, some of the other books might be, but I don't know 100%, and that is Notes on an Execution. This is by Dania Kukafka, maybe? I've heard of this book, which is why I picked it up, and I did read the description, and it's I think about someone who is on death row and maybe surviving, not sure, or getting killed, and then the woman that survives afterwards. I'm not quite sure, but I have heard about it, so which is why I picked it up. That's pretty much the reason I pick up a lot of books I do. But yeah, it sounded interesting, and also I do occasionally like dipping in with a thriller here and there, so I thought, why not pick it up? And then I did pick up 2 other classics. For April, I actually had one of my tasks for a readathon I was doing was to read a book by a Colombian author, and so I had set my mind on reading a book by Gabriela Garcia Marquez, and I found 2 of his books while I was there. So the first one, which is the one I will probably read because it's shorter, is Chronicles of a Death Foretold. This is the story of basically a guy who is aware that he's going to be murdered by these 2 brothers, and then does in fact get murdered by these 2 brothers. And then later, 27 years later, an unnamed man arrives to this town to basically find out about this murder that everyone knew was going to happen. No idea, but yeah, I've heard good things about the author, so I thought this one was tiny, a little novella, so this would be a great one to read for April. His most famous work that I have heard of was 100 Years of Solitude, so I did pick this up as well. I don't love this cover. It's really reflective, but also I'm not really a big fan of real people on cover. I do really like illustrated covers though, but I thought I would pick it up while I was there. It was the only kind of one I could see in this style. And yeah, I'm not sure about what this one is about, but I've heard so many people say it is it's such a good classic. It's very sad. It's very heartwarming. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it, but this one might take me longer to get to than this one, which I think I probably will read in April. And then we kind of get into the kind of more fantasy-esque stuff. So starting with, I think this is a middle grade, and that is the Marvellers. I think that's what I used to call it, by Donnelly Clayton. This is about a young girl who desperately wants to belong, and she would do whatever it takes that she would become a Marveller. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. It's I think about, a magic school in the sky. It sounds good. It looks good. I'm interested, and I do really like getting into middle grade series. And then I picked up the first book in the Belgariad series. This is Pawn of Prophecy by David Eddings, and I believe this is like a 80s fantasy book, a coming of age story, a kind of classic, I guess, in a way, in the fantasy genre. And so I think these covers are recently redone, because I think I looked into it before because I saw a YouTuber was reading them, and it was like harder to get in the UK, but then suddenly these editions are out, and I think this is a relatively new edition. No, it's not. This apparently is edition from 2006. I mean, it looks like it's in perfect condition. I'm not sure, but yeah, I believe it's a classic fantasy series of a young guy. There's a prophecy going on. Just going to jump into it. It's got a blurb on the back by Darren Shan, who I do like. They're all his books there, and yeah, on the front by Christopher Paolini, who I also do like. So that sometimes as well sells me books as well, who blurbs it. Like, I don't actually know if people who blurb books actually read the books they blurb, or if they just read snippets of them to blurb them. I'm not sure how that works, but sometimes that sells me on books as well. Then I picked up Sebastian de Castell's from the Malevolent Seven. I've heard good things about this book. I've heard people that have quite enjoyed it. I don't know much about it. It's about wizards, I think, but I don't know. And I think it's an adult book, but honestly, not sure. Picked it up because I've heard about it. And that's pretty much my only reason for that book, as well as the next book, and that is Gone by Michael Grant. I believe this is a dystopian series, YA middle grade, I'm not sure which, and it was, I think, big in the 2010s, and I never read it, and they sounded interesting. So yeah, it's basically about suddenly the world has gone without adults, and so it's about a bunch of children that basically now have to run the world. Yeah, sounds interesting. They had the whole of the series at 66 Books, and because I've been quite a few times, I know sometimes where series are, and these were where a lot of YA middle grade series are. So I could go back and get the rest of the series there if I do quite enjoy this, or I probably could get them from my library. We'll see. But I am interested in giving it a go, and I thought I would just pick up the first one while I was there, which is good because I don't need to pick up the whole series, so I just picked up the first one while I was there. And then I also picked up All of Us Are Villains. Again, this is a YA series, I believe, kind of Hunger Games inspired. Think about a town that every 10 years basically puts on an event to the death for some reason. It's a TikTok sensation, apparently. But yeah, I picked it up because I love the Hunger Games, and that's about it. I think people like this. I'm not quite sure. And I think it's only a duology as well, which is nice. And then one I've never heard anything about is All These Bodies by Kendara Blake. I think that's how you would say her name. This is the best-selling author of the Three Dark Crown series, which I've never read. But this sounded interesting. I've never heard this book before. It's basically about a gruesome killer, 16 bodies completely drained of blood, and one impossible explanation. I'm assuming vampires, maybe? Yeah, I think it's YA. I think it's pretty short. I think it'll be quite fast. So it's going to have a maybe horror, mystery, thriller element to it, but also with maybe a touch of fantasy. So I'm interested, and I thought it would be like a nice, fun, easy, quick read. And then we are on to the last 4 books, which are actually 2 books in series, like two sets of series that I bought 2 books for. The first one are books 2 and 3 of a series, but they are the Of Blood and Bone series by John Gwynne. So A Time of Blood and A Time of Courage. They had loads of these, but they didn't have any of the first one. I'm guessing people have bought, like, loads of people buy up the first one because they don't know if they're going to like it. So instead I bought the first 2 and 3, and will hopefully get to the 3rd one, maybe from my library. Maybe I'll just find it on Vinted or something and see if I can find it. But yeah, I have all of John Gwen's series now, I believe, and I've read not a single one of them, which isn't great, but I feel like I'm going to really like his work. So I bought them because they would have also been, I think, well, they're £12, so they would have been like £4 or something. So why not pick them up? And they're in good nick. And so yeah, got those 2 books. But then the other 2 books I got are 1 and 2 in a series, but they didn't have 3, and that is The Lies of Locke Lamora and Red Seas Under Red Skies. Again, I've heard very, very good things about these. They are both blurbed by George R.R. Martin, and yeah, I think people really like these. Like, I think from when I see people talking about their favourite fantasy series, I think this one is up there. So I've never seen it there before, so I thought while it was there, I'd grab it. If I don't like it, I'll just get rid of them. Like, there's no need. No fuss, no muss. I can jump into it whenever I fancy it, which I'm not sure which will be when, but yeah, I can when I want to, so I thought I would grab those. So that is the 25 books that I bought at 66 Books this last weekend. If you've read any of these, please let me know if you love them. If you hate them, I would love to know. And thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you again, hopefully soon.